So I do have a question for you though. As a Rogue and as a Carol fan, do you think this is all their relationship is ever going to be? Is them just having
Yes.
these moments of like one of us is in trouble, we gotta connect and we gotta once again talk about how this thing happened between us, but we've moved past it and we're good now until you need help again, and then it happens again, and then like I feel like this is all they do.
Yeah, I think so. I think they will always be.
McDonald's sound good. I had some McDonald's fries the other day, and let me tell you, they were the perfect amount of salty, hot, fresh, and good. People can say whatever they want. My best friend actually gets really upset whenever I go to McDonald's. She's like, "Are you getting McDonald's?" I'm like, "Yes, I want some fries."
Yeah,
I'd be like, "Do you want something?" She's like, "I would never eat that," and I was like, I can't just say the same. It's great.
I had it yesterday.
It's great.
the fries, the fries hit. Like,
The fries save
sorry
you every
about it.
time. And like anyone who knows me will tell you, I am all about a French fry. I love them. I will eat them all the time. I will get them anywhere if you got them. Like I love crispy, curly, wedge, steak, like all of it.
I love a good potato. Mm, right up.
A gift, a gift.
Yes. All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of another relaunch. I am Cassie Sandsmark, aka Wonder Girl.
Ugh. Okay, I am John on fire. John Iron Fire.
Don't be a hater. She's already going through it right now. Don't be
She
a hater.
is, and it's really funny to see. So after that Trinity girl got announced, I saw the people like, "Well, what about Cassie?" And it was like, "What about her? What was she doing before this?"
She's Wonder Girl. That's why people got to realize that, like, she is Wonder Girl. We don't got to worry too much about everybody else. Like, she's Wonder Girl. This Trinity girl got her own name. She's Trinity. Her name Lizzie. Her real
I
name is
mean,
Lizzie.
which is so weird, but whatever. Anyways, hello, Cassandra. How are you?
Fantastic. Trying to keep my relevance, but fantastic. Anyway, but like, I'm good. I have been, you know, working. Finally, the weather out here is getting a lot better.
Mhm.
It had been
It
like
was
kind of
raining a lot
chilly
out there, right?
and raining a lot. Yeah, but now it's been a lot better. Um, I'm trying to be outside. Yeah, it's been cool.
That's right.
You know, living. How are you?
I'm good. I hit my funny bone earlier, so I'm like kind of still recovering from that.
Oh no,
Yeah, I told you I hit stuff all the time. I'm like the range of motion is not always where it needs to be. So we're pushing through
you
stuff.
think you're dainty?
Maybe, I don't know why. But other than that, I'm good. I'm watching some TV. I started this new series called Black Knight. It's on Netflix. Basically, there was a apocalypse in Korea, and the air became polluted, and the oxygen became really hard to breathe, so they divided the nation up into three groups, of course, and then the people who weren't in those three groups were just left out to do whatever. They're known as refugees. So these guys are called delivery men, and they are responsible for delivering oxygen tanks to the people who are in those three groups, and they got to pay for it and all that good stuff. So while they're doing this, the refugees are obviously trying to attack the trucks because they would like some oxygen as well. They would like to breathe. They're not wrong. I'm not gonna lie. So like
Good idea to
it's
breathe.
kind of cool. I'm into it a little bit. It actually reminded me of that series I used to read, Nocterra. I don't know if you remember. It was written by Scott Snyder and Tony.
Oh yes.
The people who lived in the dark. She drove like this huge 18 wheeler back and forth. So watching that has made me think about that. And I just actually saw a review for that series, and it's at issue I'm gonna say 14 or something. I stopped at 5, so I think I'm gonna go back and read it.
Okay. Bringing Noctera back around.
Yeah, it was like fun. I remember it wasn't really grabbing me the way I thought it was. I can't remember why though. So we'll see.
Okay, before we start getting into the updates of the week, recently I just saw something that I wanted to talk about real quick. And DC is doing this event called Night Terrors, and there are like 40 tie-ins.
Oh,
So,
there's a lot.
um, how do you feel about the way that comic events are being kind of promoted and done nowadays? It seems as though they do the like they'll pause the line, do like 4 issues of the main series, probably 4 to 6 issues of the main series, and like everybody gets a 2-issue tie-in, but that makes it like so expansive.
I hate it. I think
Yo.
I think those ones that kind of like pause whatever their lines are, I hate it. I also think it's like I think it's become such an obvious tactic now that once again we're at this point where it happens so frequently and so often, you kind of know exactly what's going on. You know you're about to have a spring event that'll pause your line to get ready for the summer. You know whatever they're doing in the summer is setting up these books that are in August, but then you know those August series are only going to last until about December, which starts gearing up the next event, which takes us into spring, and then we go back into another summer event, and like we just kind of like go on this rotation schedule going back and forth and back and forth. And a lot of times, events will throw a book off or it'll change the course of whatever is happening with that status quo, because every time it's a new status quo and something changes. And it gets frustrating because I feel like in this current market, in the state of books, we don't really give a lot of series the time to breathe the way they used to. You know, we've talked about here, everything is 5 issues, potentially going more after that. So it's like you're just getting these little 5-issue stories here and there, and it feels like it kind of takes away the importance of the story. And it's not to say that we can't just have things that are nonsensical good times. I love the excellent. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean anything to anything. It's just a good story that I like. But when you have these characters and you're pushing them and you're saying, oh yeah, these are like really important people to whatever's going on, and they do this like 5-issue thing that actually doesn't really seem to mean anything at all, it becomes super frustrating for the reader. And it also just kind of takes away the enjoyment of the story, because it's like, well, if nothing that I'm reading matters, or it's not really important, or you're just kind of going through this like motion of just giving me these kind of mundane cash grabbing events, what am I sticking around for?
Yeah, they got to do a little better with like keeping the impact of all the tie-ins impactful to the story. You know, I do think that sometimes they help with characters who don't ever really get a lot of shine. They can get to come in sometimes, but still, like.
And I also think
better.
Even that, I feel like that's kind of lost some of its zest. I think when you see a lot of these event tie-ins now, they are just kind of like the main characters again. Even with Night Terrors, it's Batman, Catwoman, Zatanna,
the Titans, Green Lantern.
A green, like all these people got books already. Where's Black Alice? Where is not Raven? She can stay where she's in Titans. Titans is getting one. Harley Quinn is getting one. Poison Ivy is getting one. All these people who like are already doing all of these things in their other books. That's not what that is. I will say I do think Marvel's a little bit better on giving kind of the like. I think about when Judgment Day happens. I remember Iron Fist getting his mini series. I remember like there's being a story about White Fox that's going to come up in that Wanda event that's happening this summer. You know, so I really think that's more company dependent. But even so, if they were just appearing in the main books, you wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah. We know how those appearances go. And that's what I wanted to bring up anyway. Y'all let us know if y'all are going to be checking out Night Terrors. But getting into the updates of the week.
I'm still going to read the Zatanna one, though. I just want to let everybody know that. Like, however I feel like it's happening, that's my girl. I'm a supporter. And if they're going to put something out with her, then I'm going to buy it, because I want them to know that they need to put more stuff out with her. I'm sorry. That's just what it is. I'm letting you know now.
I mean, I understand the pre-warning you got to give, because you were just shading it right now.
I don't want anyone to like. I need you. I just need to know. I need you all to know and understand. I said that, yes, but I will still be buying it.
Wow. So, getting into the updates of the week. Not too much going on. However, there has been some rumblings coming out from Superman Legacy, and that would be the James Gunn written, and I think he's also going to direct the movie. Superman will be the first one coming out in their new DC universe. And what we recently learned is that David Corenswet is one of the top contenders to play Superman in Superman Legacy. as well as Nicholas Hoult has been discussed to play Lex Luthor. And how do you feel about both of these actors kind of stepping into those roles?
I don't know who the first boy is for Superman. And I honestly am not a super huge Nicholas Hoult fan. I know a lot of people really like him and stuff. I think he's fine. He is in Mad Max Fury Road, which is like one of my favorite movies of all time. I'll give him that. He ate down. But everything else, it's cool. And who is he supposed to be again? Lex Luthor? I don't like it at all. But I will say, I don't think I have liked any casting of Lex Luthor almost like ever.
Live action, you mean?
Yeah.
I'm assuming live action.
I didn't mind the Lex in Smallville, but
oh yeah, he was fine.
Other than that, I hated that other boy. What was that? Jesse Eisenberg?
Oh yeah, he was terrible.
I hated him as Lex. Could not stand that.
That was not a good casting choice. What about the Lex that was in the Bryan Singer one? That movie was bad. Superman Returns.
Yeah, I was about
that
to
movie
say.
was bad.
It was a Bryan Singer movie. That lets you know everything I think about it right there.
There it is. That's the yeah. I mean, Lex has not had the best showing in live action, and I don't think Nicholas Hoult would be a step in the right direction for me, anyway. And what I interpret Lex to be, but
yeah.
What do I know? What do I know? James Gunn has made billion-dollar movies, so
yeah, he has.
And David Corenswet, I knew him to be. He was actually someone that I had fan cast to be Superman, because he just looks like a young Clark Kent. I saw him in this Netflix series called The Politician. I never finished it, but when I did watch it, he just looks like a Superman type Clark Kent character. Very that, if you know what I mean. And I'm not surprised to see that he is like one of the top contenders on there. I've seen people on Twitter even post like edits of him as Superman, and it kind of clicked there. So I'm not surprised by that. I'm interested to see what this movie is going to be. I have only just recently stepped into the Superman fan, so like I feel like I may not have too much say, but I'm there.
Jumped. It was like, whoa.
I'm in the fam. I'm in the fam. Superboy, that's my boy. I was already there, but now I'm fully standing. And I like the super fam. So I hope this movie is good. I hope it's done well. I don't know what kind of freedom they're going to be giving James Gunn as far as like what he can and cannot do with this film, or what kind of interference.
I think they're gonna let him do whatever he wants.
I agree.
But I don't know. I thought they would let Zack Snyder do whatever he wanted to. Well, they kind of did.
Yeah, but James Gunn is also the CEO of DC Studios, so
yeah,
who he answering to?
That's true. So yeah, he's probably gonna do whatever he wants. We'll see. Him doing Superman, I don't know. That just feels so out of like. I'm thinking about like all the other movies I've seen from James Gunn and like all the other stuff he's done, and like Superman is just so different, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah. Because on the one hand, I honestly haven't really cared for a lot of his other stuff. I think it's fine, but it's nothing that I ever really want to go back and watch. So here's Superman, which is a completely different entity and has this completely different feel to it, and I don't know
if it's lining. It's aligning. I don't know if it's clicking, but I guess we'll see when that comes out. It's supposed to be coming out, I believe, next year. I don't think that's right. 2025, yeah. So not next year. Year and a half. It's fairly fast.
I was gonna say time is an illusion. It'll be here by tomorrow.
Yeah. We'll see what all they get down with that Superman legacy, but I don't know. I don't know.
Stay tuned, true believer. That's Marvel. What does DC say?
I don't know.
Look, I don't think that they're always changing. I don't think they have time to come up with a slogan.
That probably is a slogan.
It's like
The crisis is right around the corner.
adapt or die.
Basically.
Yes.
All right, y'all. On that note, let's go ahead and take a break and then we'll come right back.
Cool. Okay. All right, everyone. Welcome to another pool week, and we had some good books and some. We've got LZ doing a couple of rereads too, so he's going to tell us all about those. Very exciting. So for a couple of our quick pulls, Rogue and Gambit #3 came out. You're not reading this, are you?
I dropped that. I said I don't want no parts.
Well, that's coming out for those who are still interested in it. Rogue and Gambit seem to be going through some tough times. I don't know. People are sounding like breakups on the horizon. So I don't
No,
know.
but it's looking like a different book, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay, cool. We also had Spider-Man 2099, Dark Genesis #2 comes out this week. Everybody knows I'm a big Spider-Man 2099 fan. This also introduced Blade 2099, so that was really exciting to see. We had a new #1 with Silk. She is continuing, the spider journey of them just booming and getting everything that they deserve. Well, not Peter, according to his fandom, but everybody else is getting what they deserve. So it's good to see. And getting into our main books, we'll start with one of your rereads, The Authority #2 from Warren Ellis and Bryan Hitch. I'm very excited to hear about this.
Yes. All right. So last issue is ended with this big attack that happened on London with all of these like Gamora Island is for this like fictional places in Southeast Asia, and they were attacking London. But then the authorities showed up and they attacked back, and now this is like in the middle of a big fight. So this issue opens up, and they're like looking into the sky. They see all these Supermen, and they're like, "All right, well, we gotta do our business." And pretty much for a while now, we just see the authority like get into action. We see all of them have these like little like bug techno organic kind of things, and they're from the engineer. She's like this like machine woman, and that lets them have silent communication, radio telepathy, which I think is a kind of a cool thing. So they could just telepathically talk to each other. I feel like this was a big thing in '99 when this came out. I feel like people
Yeah, I
probably
feel
ask like,
that.
oh, like they don't have a telepath on the team, how they're going to talk to each other, link up, and they have these like little their earpieces give them radio telepathy so they can talk to each other. And um, Jenny Sparks is like, all right, y'all, yeah, now that means when anything happens, I want to be the first one to know about it. She's like kind of running them like a drill sergeant. And the team goes out and does their thing. Apollo is out there doing his thing. He like does his eye laser thing, which I thought was really cool, obviously. And the entire team is out there fighting. They try to get the air support team is giving help to like the magic guy on the ground. And at one point, they try to get all of the Superman into this ocean. And Jenny Sparks, she's living electricity. She like turns us up into electricity and shocks everybody. And Apollo is like beating the ass out of one. This one tries to like run away, but Apollo like ripped off of his jacket. I'm sorry, the guy's like costume, and it was his teleportation tech. All of the enemies are starting to teleport away because they realize they're losing by the authority. Apollo is like rushing after this guy, and Jenny Sparks is like, hold on, like, wait, but Apollo isn't listening. So he goes after the guy anyway, and they all leave the island through this like that door that they use to kind of teleport anywhere. They go through the door, they end up on the outside of the island and see that there's this big force field now around it. So everyone has been teleporting out, and I guess the villain who was probably going to do something to everyone within the island. But since they've been teleported on the outside of the island, they see that. However, Apollo was still on the other side of it, flying at like, according to Midnighter, he said he was flying. He flew halfway across the world in 30 seconds. And Apollo was like, we've been working together for 5 years and he never ceases to amaze me or irritate me because Apollo is like not listening, flying after this guy. But of course, the magic user like does this cool magic thing and teleports him to a different universe so he doesn't fly smack into the force field the way that we actually see the Superman who he was running after do. He flies into the force field and dies because he was flying that fast into it. So the team goes back to their base to try to lick their wounds. And yeah, then we see everyone kind of like go into their separate ways. Apollo is telling Jenny Sparks, like, I am excited to be on this team. This is like kind of what I really want to do. And we see more about like their relationship, what I think is fun. And yeah, then we see this like red teleporting door, which I'm not sure what's going to happen next too, because all their doors have been yellow. So that's where this story ends. But I'm loving this book. This has really been a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited
It's
for the
hot.
journey to continue. How do you feel about, well, before I even ask that, it's really interesting what you say about the telepaths and 99 and like communicating. It really is interesting to me how you think about telepathy, and it really does feel like a mutant power. And you think about a lot of times in comic books and how few telepaths there are in other mediums, and they always had to come up with other ways to communicate with people because it's like you couldn't just give everybody telepathy because it was like, oh, you had to have like a reason, and it's like, how do people get that outside of being a mutant? So I thought that was always something interesting. But how do you feel about Bryan Hitch's art?
It's interesting. I normally am not the biggest fan of Bryan Hitch's art, especially like his covers. However, I've been enjoying it, the interiors here. I don't know, for some reason it just really fits this team. And I don't know if it's just back then and because this was like technically his creator owned, kind of thing. So this was like
Okay.
I guess I think maybe he just like was trying more. I don't know what to say, but I feel like I liked it. I do enjoy his art here. The
Okay.
action scenes look great. Everybody's like really well defined. No one looks like weird shaped.
Okay. Okay. What would you rate like the single issue?
I would give this issue a 4 out of 5.
All
This was
right.
like
Come
some
on.
great teamwork stuff. We see the team coming together, and then we see people, not listening, but like, so there's some drama within the team. The magic user is kind of weird. He like talks to himself, but I think he's talking to like the other past magic people, and he's always like talking in this like grand speak about how like magic is change and like watch me do this cool thing. And like
Exactly.
whatever,
Get into
whatever.
it. You were standing, but we'll continue. Next up on the list is Annihilation Prologue number 0. And this is you.
Yes.
It was an Annihilation Prologue, or was this the old one?
This is the old
Oh,
Annihilation.
okay.
So I added Annihilation to my list of books. So if anyone wants to come in and join this with me, go ahead and start. But I did start with the prologue. There is a Drax series that starts before this, which is giving you like even more detail before the Annihilation starts. But I didn't really care too much about that, so I'm just gonna start at the prologue of the series. If you have Marvel Unlimited, they have a Annihilation like reading list. You could pretty much just follow that and start at the Annihilation prologue point, and that's where I'm kind of starting. So this issue, I couldn't really see. Oh, it's by Giffen, and the art was by Collins. And this issue is like again, it's a prologue of the Annihilation. The Annihilation event is when the Annihilus is from the negative zone. He basically broke through the like dimensional barriers and was just wreaking havoc on space. So this is the prologue before everything gets there. It opens with Thanos again talking to Death, but it's like a little girl, and I think they were trying to like change Death at this time back then, where he instead of him being like obsessed with it in like a romantic way, he was like taking care of it. I don't know. Thanos was doing a lot of stuff being weird back there. But anyway, they're at the kiln, which is this like space prison. Everybody who's if you make it to the kiln, you are going to be executed. Like you were the the baddest of the bad. And in space, and it's also like an energy generator, because of course prison labor, probably there's something they want to talk about there. And but anyway, it generates energy and spreads the energy out all throughout the cosmos in that sector, for other planets to use. So we see that everything is being found at the kiln. Some new prison inmates have come, but all of a sudden, there's this big attack that happens. These annihilation creatures, they're like these insectoid kind of looking things, and they've got these ships, and they are wreaking havoc. The entire thing is just being obliterated. All these people are dying. This one guy is like dying in his friend's arm, his friend Cole, and he's like, I just want to say these last few words. And the guy's like, no, you're not going to die. He's like, no, I'm dying. Like, just let me tell you what my last few words are. And we see this big like destruction happen. Then we go over to the Nova Corps, and they're on Xandar. So people have seen that within the MCU with the Nova Corps and how Xandar, I think it was destroyed in the MCU. Either way, it was destroyed here too. So in the Annihilation, the like ruler of Xandar is telling everyone about how there's this thing that's happening like 2 light years away. We've got some time before anything gets out there, but I want to send some Novas out there. This entire time we see Richard Rider and like his friends within the Nova Corps, and he's like, talking about how like this seems like a weird thing for us to be doing. We're supposed to be cops. Mind you, these were exactly what he said, cops. So
he lets you know they be proud to be it.
Yeah. He said we're supposed to be cops, like we're just supposed to be making arrests, not like going and handling situations like this. Basically, not being a firefighter. And so he's kind of freaking out, like wondering why things are being changed. And all of a sudden, the attack happens on Xandar, and it's like this big, crazy emergency. All of this big pages of just death and destruction coming in with these big lasers. And Richard Rider is like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I thought that they said that they were going to be, they're 2 star systems away. What's going on? And yeah, there's just like 10 more pages of just destruction that you read. Then Xandar is completely being obliterated. All of a sudden we see Nova. He's like, we can maybe fight back. He tries to give a little bit of a fight back, and it kind of rallies some of the troops to come behind him. They look up. There's this big meteor falling to the sky from the sky, and it turns out it was their spaceport.
There's a lot going on.
It's a lot. It's a lot of death, and their giant spaceport was exploded and destroyed by Annihilus and his annihilation wave. And they looking at this big meteor, and Nova and this girl, I think her name was Samira. He was like, there's no way we can make it around this thing. It's huge. And Nova's like, of course we can fly through it. Like, set your Nova power to whatever, and we can just fly through it. They try to fly through it. Homegirl gets her head cut off. There's a whole piece of debris that like flies through her head. Nova's like, what? Oh my God, Samaya, no. He gets hit by a piece of debris. The whole thing explodes on him. We see him waking up, and he is like trying to get in contact with anybody, and the entire Nova Corps has been killed and destroyed. It's except Richard Rider. He's the last one. He is left sitting, kind of crying in his hands, like, I can't believe I'm the last one. I can't believe I'm the last one. Then we see Ronan the Accuser. He's on this like other planet. He was going to be arresting some people, but I guess something happened with him, and now he's got to go back to the Creek because he's been accused of something. He got to go to trial. Silver Surfer also gets this like tingle wherever he's flying at. He's like, something's going on that shouldn't be. This isn't right. Then we, of course, end up finding out that all of this was being done by Annihilus. So that was the prologue. Next is Annihilation Nova #1, and it will be following up Nova's story within this. So,
I was gonna say, I feel like I vaguely remember Annihilation. Because Star-Lord had an Annihilation miniseries, didn't he?
Yes. Eventually we'll get to his. A bunch. Yeah, I think.
I might tap back in when you get to that.
Yeah.
when you get to that, I'll be here.
A lot of destruction.
I really remember enjoying that a lot. And I think you remember like when I first kind of like really started getting into Star-Lord, that was one of the things I went back and read, and I was just like, yeah, this is the dog. He's got it.
Yeah.
The
I've never
MCU
read it. So
environment.
like I've read the Annihilation, the main series, and some of the tie-ins, but I never read all of this all the way through. So
Okay. Well, I'm excited. What would
I
you?
usually skip Star-Lord stuff, but this time I'm not going to. So
Star-Lord has good stuff before he was pratified, but we've also gotten out of that part of the trenches, so we move. What would you
yes.
rate this prologue?
Honestly, I thought this prologue was fantastic. I would give it a 4 out of 5, maybe a
Okay.
4.5 out of 5. It was the great like
Okay.
kind of opening for an event. There was just you knew exactly what this was. There was
Hmm.
a big space creature who's out in space destroying everything, and you feel the stakes because the Nova Corps before this was like the Nova Corps, but now they've all been killed. And now that we know now in X-Men Red, they still dead. It's just ritual.
And a little boy. That little boy's the right.
Oh, and the little boy got one. Yeah, I think he still has one.
Um,
Yeah.
Good for them. All right. Well, jumping back into the present day with our books, we are now at Captain Marvel number 49 from Kelly Thompson and art by Sergio Devila. And this is the road to 50, right? We got one more issue.
Yes, and this is the wrap up to the Brood saga that we've been experiencing this time. And last
Oh, the
issue I said
crossover that
that
wasn't a crossover.
yes, that crossover with the X-Men. And last issue, I told you that Binary got hurt, and I was like, oh, she's probably not gonna make it. And this time it opens with Carol holding Binary, and Lorna's like, let me help you out. Like, I'll help you. And Carol's very angry, and she says, Lorna, she's dead. Don't worry about it. And everyone's kind of like stepping back because now this is like pissed off Carol. She's glowing white, like it looks like she's in like a binary-esque kind of costume. We've only ever seen her be this kind of powerful when she was in. She had a one shot that was called Captain Marvel: The End, and it tells you how like the end of Captain Marvel is when she restarts the sun because she had turned like completely into her binary form, went off into space and came back and restarted the sun because the sun got destroyed. So she's in this form. She's pissed off. She goes up to this the Brood Queen and is like, I'm going to completely take you out. Like, this is done. The Brood Queen is like, we put this bomb in you. She's like, I know what you did. You tried to put this bomb in me that like it would make me explode, but now I've like rechanged it into me because I can make my body do what I need it to do. You don't have any kind of autonomy over what I can do with my body and how strong it is. And she changes the like bomb that was in her to uh, basically burn out and like change into destroy all the brood. So she's like, I'm basically gonna go complete nova and blow up the planet. Everybody else, y'all need to leave because I'm reached the point now with my energy absorption that I'm going to erupt and I'm going to completely blow this blue planet up. Y'all gotta go. Everyone is like, no, we're here to help you. We're not gonna leave you out. A whole bunch of brood are there. The X-Men show up because Psylocke had asked to call in the cavalry. They come. They try to Magic and Lorna take uh, Binary because Scott pretty much gave orders as soon as he came out of the portal. He was like, "All right, y'all, here's the
As he
mission,
does.
here's the
A
team,"
leader.
as he does. Yes, he gave everyone like what they needed to do. Had Psylocke link everybody up. Told Magic and Lorna to take Binary up to the ship. Maybe they can kind of help her. And the rest of the team starts to like kind of get back together before they start fighting more brood. Rogue and Gambit have this really sweet moment where they kind of connected. Rogue had already been injured. Gambit's checking on her. He's like, is everything okay? Rogue is like, there was a time when I took everything away from Carol, and I don't know what else I'm going to do right now. And Gambit looks at her. He's like, you'll always know what to do. You always make sure you do the right thing. They give this kiss to each other. It's a really sweet moment. Completely in contrast to what is going on for
Yeah,
them
because
in
that's
the
not
most
what's
recent
happening
book.
in the miniseries. It's like, who are you? You lying to me? You got secrets. It's messy. But I
they
guess that's love.
they get they give a kiss here, and Rogue is completely in control of her powers. So like there isn't anything there, which I thought was a nice way to touch on that. Spider Woman and Hazmat have a nice moment. Then Carol is getting ready to kill the Brood Queen, but like all the other Brood getting ready to attack. So there's this big splash page of the X-Men and Team Captain Marvel all out there kind of fighting. And Carol is about to like completely burn up, and Rogue basically is like, I feel like this is my chance to give her something back. She goes up to her, and they have this really great moment connecting with each other, and they hug, and Rogue absorbs the leftover energy because Carol was like basically gonna detonate, and they save the day. And then that was a great moment. They all fly back down, have this great hugging moment. I noticed, what was going on with the reunion part that happens after they save the day, because Rogue goes over and hugs Gambit, and the first person, Carol, comes over and hugs the Spider Woman. And I saw the parallels that was trying to be shown there, which I thought were cute. And yeah, so Rogue has this moment afterwards where she says, I hope that maybe I was able to give her something back, because Carol was going to die if she did detonate this way. And she hopes that she was able to give her something back, even though she knows she's taken something from her before. They go and bury Binary on what now Carol calls Planet Marvel. It's the planet that the original Marvel, when he like got resurrected by the Phoenix Force back a long time ago, like his remains were also buried there. It's where she buried the old Binary body. Yeah, and then we're gonna be reading issue 50 next. Fantastic issue.
Well, so Binary
Wrapped
is
up
dead.
kind of quickly.
Congrats to you. I know you've been praying on that.
I wasn't praying on it. I was just expecting it.
Okay, whatever you want to call it. So I do have a question for you though. As a Rogue and as a Carol fan, do you think this is all their relationship is ever going to be? Is them just having these moments of like, one of us is in trouble, we got to connect, and we got to once again talk about how this thing happened between us, but we've moved past it and we're good now until you need help again, and then it happens again, and then I feel like this is all they do.
Yeah, I think so. I think they will always be. They will never probably be best friends or whatever, where they're always with each other. But I think that they will probably always be tied to each other in a way that they can call on each other. They probably won't always appear in each other's things,
Well, I don't even mind the whole thing.
This may have just been.
I don't think I don't necessarily mind, which I do agree with. Kelly definitely likes Rogue. I don't necessarily think I mind the whole thing of them calling on each other, but just like any time that they call on each other, we have to also get the speech about how they're.
Oh, I see what you mean. Rehash, like, oh yeah,
like, because
I'm calling on you because of that one time 40 years ago that we fought.
I even remember at the beginning when this Captain Marvel run first started, Rogue appeared in it then, and her and Carol fought, and they once again had a moment. I feel like a lot of times when Rogue has done stuff with the X-Men, especially during like the Dark Reign era when Moonstone was running around as Miss Marvel and she had to interact with Carol, then we've had those moments. I just feel like, at what point are they able to call on each other and like we just do the mission?
Not even talk about it. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that they have moved past that moment. However, I think a few things. I think in a post Civil War II Carol, she has to do stuff like this because we had to change the perception of the downfall of Carol. I feel like there was a lot of things that happened where Carol had a very out of character stuff where Kelly had to kind of fix it. I know she even talked about it recently in an interview. It was. And she recently had an interview where she talked about how there was a little bit of kind of an uphill battle with writing Carol because of everything that happened before, and which makes it probably harder on what stories you can tell because you have to make sure you kind of navigate all of that and do everything the right way. So I think that plays a part into, okay, well, people know about the whole Civil War II thing. We should also probably do just a positive spin on Rogue again, even though they've done it.
Yeah. But I also think
I feel like this will probably be the last time.
I hope so. I mean, and not even just, even if they did in like a Carol book, I wouldn't read it, so it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, like, in terms of just the characters when they grow. We just talked about Carol in Civil War II and how that was kind of like the downfall of her, and this run has pretty much been the uphill battle of like her redemption arc and kind of redeeming her to a space. And I think that when we look at comics, we can look back at some of our faves being written horribly, but when you look at where they are now, you realize that's kind of like their life. That's their journey. We are in real life. We're constantly doing things. We have toxic moments. We have bad moments. We have moments where we're not doing good. And I think that kind of reflects with it. I just feel like with Rogue and Carol, I would like them to also have that growth. It's like, yes, we know this is what happened. We know you guys have gotten to a better space. We know you're able to call on each other, and maybe even call each other friend at this point. You know what I'm saying? And
They
so
do,
it's
I think,
like,
at this point.
and now, okay, now what? What are we gonna
Now
do?
they don't need to do this anymore. They don't need to like call on each other. But unfortunately, because of the status or whatever that they both have and the teams they have, they're gonna run into each other.
And I guess that's what I would like to see, the expansion of this friendship now. So okay, you two are friends. Are we just gonna see y'all hanging out? Are we just gonna see like, Rogue chilling on the island at Rogue and Gambit's house or whatever, doing something? Are we gonna see them going on the beach? Could we get like more little specials, or how they would do the anthology stories and they'll pair two heroes out for a mission together? Are we gonna get them doing those type of things? I think that's, if we're gonna get Rogue and Carol together, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see one of them in trouble, the other one having to come and help, and then we gotta get this sob story again. We get it. Rogue almost killed you. You're not dead. You guys have made amends. Great.
You better go off. So you stand there. I'm in for it. Yes. Fix all of it. I think that Rogue is now a part of Captain Marvel's story and vice versa. However, unfortunately, I think sometimes people just see the two of them and it's always, oh, remember that time? And we end up having to rehash it.
The bad outweighs the good.
Yes.
Ain't that crazy?
But I know you know. I know you know. But hopefully they have now moved past it. There are too many panels now that people can post of them hugging and hanging out and being friends and stuff for us to still have them be enemies and fight again. And I think that is a problem. A lot of people have wanted them to see them fight again. And if they do show them fighting again, then we have to go back and show them not. So you can't have them fight in AVX and then not show them coming back around unless you're always just going to have them fight every time they see each other. So I do agree that they got to pick a side. We can't keep straddling the fence. It's either Rogue is her villain and they just don't like each other, or they're friends and they've moved on. So hopefully we've reached that. I think we have reached the point where they're friends and they can move on.
It'll be interesting. I guess we'll see for the future writers what they do. Shout out to Kelly Thompson for kind of like giving what it sounds like. She's turning the ship around, and from what it sounds like, really giving a finality to like that. They're not enemies. They homegirls. Let's move on.
Yes. Let's move on.
So overall, what would you rate the issue?
I would give this issue a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
A 4 out of 5. I did think that this kind of wrapped up a little quickly as far as the final battle with the Brood Queen and the way that Carol kind of explained, like, oh, I know you put this bomb in me when you kind of activated my abilities or whatever, because they've always wanted to use Carol as a weapon against the Kree. She said she burned it out or whatever, but I felt that was kind of quick that we got there, but still great. Love the art. Love the team, everyone writing there. Lorna was fantastic in this. So I enjoyed it a lot. And Rogue. Well,
shout out. 50 is coming up, so we'll see what we get.
It's coming up.
And our final pull of the week is X-Men Red number 11. That's from Al Ewing with art from Stefano Caselli and Jacopo Camagni. Now, this issue really is kind of broken up into like two big parts. You have Storm, who is coming off the Sins of Sinister event. We now know that like Sinister did all of the stuff. He put his genes into four of the council members, Xavier being one of them. They feel like they've extracted it, but they can't be 100% sure. So Storm still has them on the council for like appearances, but they don't really have any power. We start off the issue with Storm is on this little date with Craig Marshall from NASA, who was helping out some mutants on Morocco during Judgment Day. They're flirting. It's really cute. Storm is looking good in this little lightning dress. That's mutant fashion. That's what I like to see.
Giving a little leg.
Giving a little leg, hair out. Xavier pops up and he's like, "You need to come talk to me right now."
I know I am.
Storm is like, "You know what? Actually, I do." And so she gets up from her date and she leaves. The other half of this issue, we have Sunspot, Nova, and Kobach of the Araco. They are in one of the like springs there on the planet, and they're just talking about things. It was really nice, I think, in this issue to just kind of have some normal banter. I feel like a lot of times in comic books we talk about like the characters, their personalities, their interactions, and how just seeing them do normal things sometimes is really cool. I'm not a fan of Nova. I've said that before, but the way he and Sunspot bounce off of each other is really well done, and it makes them a little bit more likable. Kobach is
As you
talking
saw,
about
he's not very smart.
he's not
When we
very
talk about this
smart.
annihilation thing, why was he? Why would you say, "Oh, let's fly through the debris"?
They're doing their stuff. Kobach goes off to go into a fight because he's trying to get on the Council of Morocco, which I don't know why, because they're uproaring as hell, and they see the external gate go off. And sometimes it's like, oh, that's the one that's connected to Otherworld. Let's see what we have. We cut back to Storm and Xavier, and we get a big blowout between these two characters. And it just kind of like talks about everything within their history. He brings up Magneto dying in her arms, and he wants to know what Magneto said about her. We deal with Storm talking about Xavier and his hubris and the way he acts. We get a rehash of them once again talking about that moment of him telling her she wasn't a goddess and she was a mutant, and just how he's fallen and what that means. He tries to read her mind. She uses the red triangle protocols to push him out. He's shocked. He's like, "Oh my gosh, how could you do that?"
He was gagged.
He's like, "Whoa," and she's like, "I mean, you taught me how to do it."
It hurt when they use it back on you, huh?
He continues to lament just about like all the decisions he made, Sinister, Magneto, all of these things like that. And then the issue cuts back off. She, before that even happens, she tells him, "This is what Magneto said. I'm pretty sure he did look to you as a friend, but as of this moment, as of today, I am not." She flies off. She says, "Don't step foot on a Rocco. You probably gonna get a lightning bolt to the ass." She doesn't say the last part, but she thought it. And then we cut to the end. Sunspot and Nova have made it to the external gate. It's still like sitting off some really like heavy energy. Sunspot's like, it's connected to Otherworld. They got stuff we don't even know about. Who pops through? John Ironfire. Voila. Making his debut since Sins of Sinister, and he says he has come with a message from the White Sword. Not only is the White Sword dead, but Genesis is coming. And we all know Genesis, the dog, the mother, the mutant mother. And as someone who has just been recently rereading X of Swords, ooh, this is about to be good. So Genesis is coming. Storm better watch her back because I don't know what she's going to do against her.
We're going to see a mother off.
We haven't seen a mother off of this capacity since Andre Mom fought Lady Devamon. Like, that's what it's giving. This is big.
It is.
But did you read X-Men Red?
I did, of course.
Okay. I'll say of course. Like, you be trying. Sometimes. Like, oh yeah. Anyways.
I won't lie and say I wasn't salty when it was obvious a lot of this was taking over Sword. Yeah. But like I like X-Men Red. It's like one of the only good X-Men books out.
What did you think?
Yeah, I love this issue. It was great. Storm, Queen. you know, or she doesn't want to be called a queen. So maybe I shouldn't say that. But I like the way that she is has been able to evolve in this role. You know, the one thing that I like about Storm is seeing Storm be a leader. When I saw her as Regent, I know people remember what I said. This is definitely my favorite version of Storm so far. We didn't get a lot of it because she gave that seat up, but I really wanted to see like her have to deal with like all those galactic people and having to like, you know, stand up to them or whatever. But getting to see this now, but in the form of like her X-Men story is just as great. So like she is, you know, always been positioned to be this leader within the X-Men and this like kind of matriarch kind of figure. And to finally see her kind of buck back against Xavier, who like, you know, at the time I didn't even think about it that like, yeah, who's to say she's not a goddess? Like why did you come to her and assume that she's supposed to follow you, be a little soldier? Who told him that?
I will say that. That is true, actually. I will say though, you know, I'm Xavier down. I'm sorry. I'm riding with the LGBT when it comes to him, but I feel like that there has been a vilification of Xavier that feels a little bit extreme. When he has always been, and even this issue, like I think it does a lot of his moral complexities really well when he talks about Magneto and just like feeling how he's fallen. I think when Storm says to him, she's like, you know, you talk about how you're at this spot where you're really bad and you're still talking about putting it all on yourself and like taking it all on yourself. I think things like that can feel apt, but at the same time, Xavier has done bad things, but it's always been very apparent, at least when you go back, that it wasn't truly for him. He really was doing this like for him and his students. He made some bad decisions. He's a nasty man sometimes, don't get me wrong. But there's still a lot of love and compassion there that he has for these people. And I feel like this era has kind of stripped a lot of that away to just make it seem like it was me, Moira, and Magneto. All of y'all were just fodder. And it's like
everybody was my little chess piece.
Yeah, and I don't know. That just doesn't fully sit well with me. I truly do think that he cares a lot of these characters and that he like has their best interests at heart. Yes, him going to Storm and saying you're not a goddess. Okay, who gave you the right? But at the same time, you're not a goddess. I don't know what you want me to say. Like I don't know what you want me to say. Like,
but that's fine. But she's not good enough to call herself a goddess, but she's good enough to be your little soldier.
I mean,
to come listen. She can't do anything for herself, but she got to listen to him.
She got to lead.
That is, I think, the issue. See, it's putting people in their place. Xavier is like the kind of character that is like Jean. It's very like.
But then this is also my thing with a lot of Xavier's kids, Storm herself included. They all have little bits of himself. Just like some of the things that she says to him. Yes, Storm is learning the power of teamwork over in X-Men Red, but it's like she's learning the power of teamwork because she's never done it before. Because she has always put herself in this spot to like, I am the leader, I'm going to stand above, I'm going to do what I need to do. The goddess. And then Xavier was telling her, you're not a goddess. Come work with some people. He just said it in a different way.
A very forceful way. It's a very nice, nasty kind of way. Very that. But like I said, it's that sanctimony that I think that is.
And again,
I mean that they all have. She got it too.
I know she got it too. But regardless, like I was saying, I don't think like Xavier's not a good quote. Oh, he's a good man. He's not like the best man. He's a flawed man.
And interesting.
And that's what makes him interesting. But I do think that there has been just like, I don't know, I feel like it's been taken to extreme for a lot of the characters. And we'll see. I mean, we're coming to the fall of X. He's got a lot of things to deal with. I know he's got an immortal issue that's coming up soon. It's kind of talking about how the council's gone, and we'll really see if like he will learn anything for this or grow from it. Again, we were just talking about character journeys. Xavier has been around for 60 years. We're going to see like how that up itself and like where it goes and where it takes him. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see how this all ends up. Look like him and Storm and a lot of his students. You know, we've seen Cyclops tell him off in recent years. Jean has had her words with him. Storm has had words with him. Like we've seen all these people kind of fall out of love with Xavier's dream and what that means to them. So I'm really interested to see now how he'll kind of be like, okay, what now?
Do you think it's time for him to retire? Because if you were to take that same kind of thought process, that's what Magneto saw. You know, it was, you know, we've now reached this Krakoa moment. It's time for me to just go sit down. Let y'all, like, it's now time for y'all to deal with this.
Yes, I do think it's time for him to retire in the same way I think it was time for Magneto to retire. But in the same way that Magneto didn't actually sit down, I don't think Charles would actually sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
just be there in the background somewhere.
He just do something else. I just think, again, like, the type of characters they are and what you see in the story of what they've sacrificed to do it and get to where they are, I can't see them just like sitting back and saying, no, I don't want to do this. Or even someone not like with Magneto. Really, he did just want to sit down, but Storm and Sunspot came back and was like, no, actually you can't.
You gotta come join us on this up here in space.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like just because like that insight and that history that they have, somebody's gonna want it. Everybody might. Forge still loves Xavier. He'll tell him everything.
That's true.
So you just take what you can get. But we'll see. I do think it's time for him to sit down though. That whole little trinity, Moira, Xavier, Magneto. We're ready for the next phase. I think we've been ready for a while.
Yes. I think that'll be interesting to see that too. I also have to admit, I do really enjoy this look for Xavier. I like the helmet for Cerebro.
He looks good. His body's done. It's like
he did get it done.
He got the body done. He's slim. He's like it's great.
It looks hot. What would you rate this issue?
I would honestly rate this a 3.5. I liked a lot of the story. Like I said, I have my own kind of issues with like some of the characterization things, but I think it was very well done still. I think the confrontation of Storm and Xavier, it was a long time coming, as we saw. That one big panel that we got that was just like snippets of all their times going back and forth and like things they've done. Like that was really beautifully done. Amazing stuff. Ewing kills it. I'm excited for Genesis coming back, and you know, if he's gonna dip his toe in the otherworld pond, that would be cute. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I was like paging someone when they popped up. It was, and we talking about magic worlds.
You could appear.
You know, you need to call. Stop playing with me. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm excited. What would you rate it?
Yeah, I would give this a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. Again, this like space era for Storm has really reminded me how much of a Storm fan I am.
She's that girl.
She is that girl. And I really have been enjoying her like on Rocco, and like I loved all the stuff against her and Xavier. And I wasn't too mad at the art. It's not my favorite style, but I wasn't too mad at it.
The artist,
I liked it.
Work stays consistent. The artists who came in to do, I believe, the Sunspot pages and things like that, it was different. I don't like the way they draw Sunspot. I like when he looks a little bit more acro. So that also is what took some down points for me. But nonetheless,
talk about it looked a little weird, but
and Nova, I don't need him. I feel like we can just have anybody else. Like I'm sure there's a mutant who has some energy reading powers who could have done what he did in that little pool.
Could have been Lorna, but
that's true.
That's his fame. I get it though, because like I said, if this was me, Wonder Man would have been sitting right there in that hot tub with him. So I get it.
Crazy. Well, all right, that was Pull Week, guys. We'll go ahead and take a break and come on back.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the watch section of the show. I haven't decided if we should call this the AR Club still, or just the watch section. I don't know. I kind of like watch section. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But this week we are watching Justice League, and we'll be starting Bruce Timm's Justice League. That is the series that came out in, oh wow, whoa,
Don't say it
2001.
out loud.
Whoa, 2001.
Wow.
And we'll be watching that. So jump in and watch along with us. And any comments you guys have about it, if this is your first time watching, or if you'll be watching with us. And yeah, so we start off with, we're just watching episode 1 now. We're watching episode 2 and 3 next week. But with episode 1, first of all, opens with these astronauts on Mars. They are looking around for something, and of course, this man sees something. He got to touch it. So he touches this thing, falls into this crater, sees this big, like Martian-looking temple kind of place, has this psychic feedback, crashes, things go crazy. Then boom, we open to this opening, which I think is very iconic. Like their opening music with the trumpets and all of the
Yeah, those
like
trumpets, like
little
those,
cinematics of
those horns
everybody.
went off
It's great.
crazy.
Yeah, and I have to say that it's probably one of the more like iconic kind of intros for any of the superhero cartoons for me. But then after that, we see that there was this like the scientists who are like, oh my god, we're so excited because they're gonna do some science and stuff later together. They all leave. One of them stays behind. And we notice that he is like picking up this thing that's obviously probably weighs a ton, and that's not right. And Batman is watching him. Turns out they are definitely like aliens, and there's some other ones there. Then we cut over to Batman trying to like fight them. They end up like kind of beating him up, basically, or like blowing things up. Superman comes up, and he's like, I can help you out. He was kind of floating there, which I thought was great. And Batman's like, I got it. Superman's like, they don't look so tough. Like I can help you. And they end up both losing because Superman has this like psychic feedback. He falls. Batman's like, well, I guess I got to help him out. They go and cause the research facility to explode, and then these aliens like leave. Superman says like, I've got this some kind of feedback. Something happened. I don't even know what's going on. Batman's like, I've been tailing these people for a few months. Like something's not right with these researchers. Superman's like, all right, well, I gotta go. Batman is shady because he says, oh, you gotta go get another key to the city. Like, relax. I think he just said he got to go do something.
And it's like, imagine being like this millionaire playboy who basically owns your city, saying to somebody, oh, you gotta go get another key to the city. Like, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Actually. Do you want to give me yours?
Why you being a hater? So Superman is like, actually, I gotta leave. I gotta go back to Metropolis. Gives him this like device for him to contact him. He leaves. They go to the UN, and we see that Superman is basically kind of making his debut, kind of as like a superhero of the world. And it's saying like, he's gonna decommission nukes and do all this other kind of stuff for the people. He's there for the people. Then we see, I think that's when the flashbacks started to happen again. So like Superman was sleeping or something, and then like he starts to experience some of these flashbacks again, and something is like telling him something. It's like reaching out to him. Later on, Batman is doing some like research on the facilities. He like breaks into this place. He like finds one of the old scientists who's like been encapsulated in this like goop thing. He like opens it up. He falls out of it. Kind of gross, but it'll probably look interesting in the universe. Batman ends up getting beat up basically by these aliens. Superman hears his watch go off. He goes and helps him, and they end up getting these flashes again where Superman is like, something's going on, like I need to go and help him. And I don't want to get too far ahead, but I think this is, well, yes. So the aliens start like attacking the city. They break out of these like rocks. They're these big, what's that zombie, alien movie called? War of the Worlds. They look like the
I was gonna say something completely different. And now that I'm like, thinking about what I was about to say, it's like that movie doesn't even have zombies in it, so I don't know why I was gonna say it.
They look like these big aliens from War of the Worlds. And they're like marching around, attacking everybody. Superman is like trying to fight them back. So it's Batman. He ends up getting hurt. One of the ambulance people tries to take his mask off. He's like, don't even try it. That ain't gonna happen. He gets back up. Superman ends up flying away in the middle of the fight and is like, what's going on? He ends up breaking Martian Manhunter out of this like machine, and Martian Manhunter is going to help. So this is like kind of like the intro to the Justice
Three
League.
Kings. You know,
Yes.
I will say, rewatching this episode, that scene with Bruce and Clark and Superman's like, you need me to help you, or like, I can do this, and Batman's like, no. It really reminded me a lot of Philip Kennedy Johnson's Action Comics. Do you remember that one issue where Superman went to go talk to Batman about like the Genesis Stone and all that stuff like that, and Batman is fighting his villains and Superman's just floating there. He's like, you know, I could do this quicker if you need me to. He's like, are you sure you don't want help? And Batman's like, mind your business, I know what I'm doing. And I was just like, oh, that was a cute callback to see. And I was like, that's really their relationship. That's how they act.
Yeah, I do like them a lot together. And I appreciate those moments when like a super will come in and just be kind of floating, and a
Like,
street level hero will be like,
I'm not here to step on your
doing their
toes.
thing.
And it's like, good.
Yeah, I'm not
No,
here.
I think it even reminds me. It takes me back to just most recently that Moon Knight issue where Clea guest star, and she's kind of standing on the side, and she's like, "Do you need me to help you?" And he's like, "No, I got a system." And then eventually she's like, "All right, I'm gonna do it anyway." Now they're best friends.
I mean, it could happen. I always feel like that is interesting because they really could just like
Exactly.
clean it up real quick. Yeah.
That first issue of Monica's book, when they was fighting D-Man, Spider-Man, or that monster, and Spider-Man was like, "Oh, so you could have did that the whole time?"
Then why didn't you do it? But then he wanted her to actually step in. Most street-level heroes are like, don't do anything. Like, I got it. I can do it. My backflip this time is gonna get me there. So like, don't worry about
It
it. But yeah, I thought this was a great intro for the Justice League and this team. I think the next two episodes are really going to be great when the team really comes together. I will always say that, in my opinion, this was the best way to do a live action Justice League. I think that like they should just follow this and done that in live action. Have the team just come together fighting a third party villain. That's how the team is formed. Great. We know who these people are.
That's too easy.
It is too much like right. I know. That's why it won't ever happen.
That's too simple.
I know.
Of course we could do that. Why would we? No. The Amazon's got to be made from Kryptonians.
Oh my gosh.
That's what we got to do.
It shouldn't be this hard. It really shouldn't. These are the most like iconic superheroes out. Like it shouldn't be this hard to make them in live action. Look how easy it is to draw them.
Do you think they're going to show Superman that planet exploding again?
Oh. Yes. I didn't think so, but I have a feeling that Gunn is going to want to
show that.
do that.
That's crazy.
And see, which is again another interesting point that I bring up with just starting with these characters, the way that this animated series did. Nobody's origin was like repeated in this. Y'all know who Batman is. You know, even if you've never read the comic books before, y'all know who Batman is. You know who Superman is. It did not start with them going through everybody's origin and taking us through everything that people you didn't know. It just went there. Now, later on in it's obviously a TV series, so they have time to go back and do that. But even then, I don't recall, and we'll obviously bring it up when we get there. I don't recall them having like a retelling of everyone's origin story in their spotlight episodes. We got more about the character and their lore, but it wasn't like a reintroduction to the character as far as their origins is concerned.
Yeah.
So,
I can't believe it. Well, we'll see. It's a good time. I'm excited. I love this cartoon. So,
yeah, it's the first episode. I liked it. I don't even know if I should even really rate these because they're probably just all going to be great to me. But if you need one, I guess I give it like a 4 out of 5. I thought it was great. Yeah, fantastic.
Martian Manhunter, King. I can't wait to see him like grow.
I think he should come back and do Stormwatch again, but that's just me.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah. I thought it was great.
The mind of a mastermind. You got it. You got it.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. Please make. Oh, and like I said, next week we'll be talking about episodes 2 and 3. So watch those, and we'll be coming back and talking about that. So that brings us to the end of the show. Please make sure you rate and subscribe us wherever you get your podcast. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Another Relaunch. You can email us at anotherrelaunch@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube and watch at Another Relaunch TV. You can find me on most social media platforms at UncannyLZ. Keenan, where can they find you?
You guys know you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Keenan Lance. As always, there's an underscore at the end.
Boom. All right, y'all. Let's get out of here. We'll catch you next week.
Peace.
Bye.